Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Text number 2. Atihara Priyasyascha Prajalapo Niyamagraha Jana Sangascha Lolyam Cha Sadbhir Bhaktir Vinashyati. Translation: One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. Second, over endeavoring for mundane things that were very difficult to obtain. Third, talking unnecessary about mundane subject matters. Fourth, practicing the scriptural rules and regulation only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules or regulation of the scripture and working independently or whimsically. Fifth, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And sixth, being greedy for mundane achievements. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Human life is mean for plain living and high thinking, since all conditioned living beings are under the control of the Lord's third energy. This material world is so designed so that one is obliged to work. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has three primary energies or potencies. The first is called Ataranga Shakti or the internal potency. The second is called the Tatastha Shakti or marginal potency. The third is called Vairanga Shakti or the external potency. The living entities constitute the marginal potency and they are situated between the internal and external potency. Being subordinate as eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Jivatmas or atomic living entities must remain under the control of either the internal or external potency. When they are under the control of the internal potency, they display their natural constitution activity, namely constant engagement in the devotion service of the Lord. That is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Mahatmanastu mam varta devyam prakriti ashita bhajanti ananyo manso kyantva buddhatidam avyayam. O son of Partha, those who are not diluted, the great souls are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in the devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. The word Mahatma refers to those who are broad minded, not cripple minded. Cripple minded persons always engage in satisfying their senses, sometimes expanded their activities in order to good for others through some ism like nationalism, humanitarianism, or altruism. They may reject personal sense gratification for the sense gratification of others, like the members of their family, community, or society, either national or international. Actually, all this is extended sense gratification from personal to communal to social. This may all be very good from the material point of view, but such activities have no spiritual value. The basis of such activity is sense gratification, either personal or extended. Only when a person gratifies the senses of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can he be called a Mahatma or the broad minded person. The above quoted verses from the Bhagavad Gita, the word Devyam Prakratim refer to the control of their internal potency or pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. This pleasure potency is manifested as Srimati Radharani or her expansion Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. When the individual jiva souls are under the control of their internal energy, their only engagement is the satisfaction of the Krishna, Vishnu. This is the position of a Mahatma. If one is not Mahatma, he is Duratma. He is a cripple minded person. Such mentality, crippled Duratma, are put under the control of the Lord's external potency, Mahamaya. Indeed, all living entities within this material world are under the control of Mahamaya, whose business is to subject them to the influence of the threefold miseries Adi Devic, suffering caused by the demigods such as droughts, earthquake, and storms, Adi Bhautik, Klesh, suffering caused by the other living entities like insects or enemies, and Adhyatmic Klesh, suffering caused by one's body, mind, and such as mental and physical infirmities. Devi Bhutatma Hetava, the conditioned soul subject to these three miseries by the control of external energy and suffer various difficulties. The main problem confronting the conditioned soul is the repetition of birth, old age, death, and disease. In the material world, one has to work for the maintenance of the body and soul. But how can one work such work in a way that is favorable for the execution of Krishna consciousness? Everyone requires possessions such as food, grains, clothing, money, and other things necessary for the maintenance of the body. But one should not collect more than necessary for his actual basic need. If this natural principle is followed, there will be no difficulty in maintaining the body. According to nature arrangement, living entities lower on the evolutionary scale do not eat or collect more than necessary. Consequently, in the animal kingdom, there is generally no economic problem or scarcity of necessities. If a bag of rice is placed in a public place, birds will come to eat a few grains and go away. A human being, however, will take away the whole bag. He will eat all his stomach and can hold and try to keep to the rest in storage. According to scriptures, this collecting of more than necessary atihar is prohibited. Now the entire world is suffering because of it. Collecting and eating more than necessary also cause priyas or unnecessary endeavor. By God's arrangement, anyone in any part of the world can live very peacefully if he has some land and a milk cow. There is no need for a man to move from one place to another to earn a livelihood, for one can produce food grains locally and get milk from cows. That can solve all economic problems. Fortunately, man has been given higher intelligence for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness or the understanding of God and one's relationship with Him. And the ultimate goal of life is love of God. Unfortunately, so called civilized man, not caring for God realization, utilize his intelligence to get more than necessary and simply eat to satisfy the tongue. By God's arrangement, there is sufficient scope for the production of milk and grains for human beings all over the world. But instead of using their higher intelligence to cultivate God consciousness, so called intelligent men misuse their intelligence to produce many unnecessary and unwanted things. Thus, factories, slaughterhouses, brothels, and liquor shops are opened. If people are advised not to collect too many goods, eat too much, or work unnecessarily to possess artificial amenities, they think they are being advised to return to a primitive way of life. Generally, people do not like to accept the plain living and high thinking. That is their unfortunate position. Human life is meant for God realization, and the human being is given higher intelligence for this purpose. Those who believe that this higher intelligence is meant to maintain a higher state should follow the instruction of the Vedic structure literature. By taking such instruction from high authorities, one can actually become situated in a perfect knowledge and give real meaning to life. The Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Suta Goswami describe the proper human dharma in this way. धर्मस्य हि अपारवाग्यास्य नार्थो रथ्योपलकापते नर्थस्य धर्माकन्तस्य कामलभाया हि समृद्धा. All occupational engagement dharma are certainly meant for the ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service dharma should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. The first step in human civilization consists of occupational engagement performed according to the scriptural injunction. The higher intelligence of a human being should be trained to understand basic dharma. In human society, there are various religious conceptions characterized as Hindu, Christian, Hebrew, Mohammedans, Buddhist, and so on. For without religion, human society is no better than human animal society. As stated above, religion is meant for attaining emancipation, not for getting bread. Sometimes human society manufacture a system of so-called religion aimed at material advancement, but it is far from the purpose of the true dharma. Religion entails understanding the law of God because the proper execution of these laws ultimately leads one out of material entanglement. That is the true purpose of religion. Unfortunately, people accept religion for material prosperity because of atihar or an excessive desire for such prosperity. True religion, however, instructs every people to be satisfied with bare necessity of life while cultivating Krishna consciousness. Even though we require economic development, true religion allow it for supplying the bare necessity of material existence. Jivasya tathava jijanasa. The real purpose of life is to inquire about the absolute truth. If our underwear prayas is not to inquire about the absolute truth, we will simply increase our endeavor to satisfy our artificial needs. A spiritual aspirant should avoid mundane endeavor. Another impediment is prajalab, unnecessary talking. When we mix with a few friends, we immediately begin unnecessary talking, sounding just like croaking toads. If we must talk, we should talk about the Krishna consciousness movement. Those outside of the Krishna consciousness movement are interested in reading heaps of newspapers, magazines, and novels, solving crossword puzzles, and doing many other nonsense things. In this fashion, people simply waste their valuable time and energy. In the Western countries, old men retire from active life, play cards, fish, watch television, and debate about useless social political schemes. All these and other frivolous activities are concluded in the Prajalab category. Intelligent person interested in Krishna consciousness should never take part in such activities. Janasang refer to associating with person not interested in Krishna consciousness. One should strictly avoid such association. Sri Narottama Das Thakur has therefore advised us to live only in the association of Krishna conscious devotees. Bhakta se nevas. One should always engage in the service of the Lord in the association of the Lord's devotee. Association with those engaged in a similar line of business is very conducive to advancement in that business. Consequently, materialistic persons form various associations and clubs to enhance their endeavors. For example, in the business world, we find such institutions as the Stock Exchange and Chamber of Commerce. Similarly, we have established this International Society for Krishna Consciousness to give people an opportunity to associate with those who have not forgotten Krishna. This spiritual association is offered by our ISKCON movement is increasing day by day. Many people from different parts of the world are joining this society to awaken their dormant Krishna consciousness. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anuvrati commentary that too much endeavor to acquire knowledge on the part of the mundane speculator or dry philosophers falls within the category of atihar, collecting more than need. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, the endeavor of philosophical speculator to write volumes of books on dry philosophy devoid of Krishna consciousness is entirely futile. The work of karmis who writes volumes of books on economic development are also fall within the category of Utiharam. Similarly, those who have no desire for Krishna consciousness and who are simply interested in possessing more and more material things, either in the shape of scientific knowledge or monetary gain, are all included under the control of the Atihar. Karmis labor to accumulate more and more money for future generation only because they do not know their future position, interested only in getting more and more money for their sons and grandsons. Such foolish persons do not even know what their position is going to be in the next life. There are many incidents that illustrate this point. Once a great Karmi accumulated a vast fortune for his son and grandson, but later, according to his karma, he took his birth in a cobbler house located near the building which in his previous life he had constructed for his children. It is so happened that when this very cobbler came to his former house, his former son and grandson beat him with shoes. Unless the karmis and jananis become interested in Krishna consciousness, they will simply continue to waste their life in fruitless activities. Accepting some of scriptural rules and regulations for immediate benefit, as ulterians advocates, is called niyamagrahe, and neglecting the rules and regulations of Shastra which are meant for spiritual development is called niyamagrahe. The word agra means eagerness to accept and agra means failure to accept. By the addition of either of these two words to the word niyama, rules and regulation, the word niyamagre is formed. Thus, niyamagre has a twofold meaning that is to be understood according to the particular combination of the word. Those interested in Krishna consciousness should not be eager to accept rules and regulations for economic development or advancement, yet they should very faithfully accept spiritual rules and regulations for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. They should strictly follow the regulatory principle of avoiding illicit sex, meat eating, and gambling and intoxication. One should also avoid the association with Mayavadis who simply blasphemes Vaishnava devotees, Bhuktikamis who are interested in material happiness, Muktikamis who desire liberation by merging in the existence of the formless absolute Brahman, and Siddhikamis who desire the perfection of mystic yoga practice are classified as atiharas. To associate with such person is not at all desirable. Desire to expand the mind by perfecting mystic yoga, merging the existence of Brahman, or attaining physical material prosperity are all included in the category of greed, loloya. All attempt to acquire such material benefit or so-called spiritual advancement are impediments on the path of the Krishna consciousness. Modern warfare waged between capitalist and communist is due to their avoiding the advice of Srila Rupa Goswami regarding Atihar. Modern capitalists accumulate more wealth than necessary, and the communists, envious of their prosperity, want to nationalize all wealth and property. Unfortunately, the communists do not know how to solve the problem of wealth and its distribution. Consequently, when the wealth of the capitalists fall into the hand of the communist, no solution results. Opposed to these two philosophies, the Krishna consciousness ideology states that all the wealth belongs to Krishna. Thus, unless all wealth comes under the administration of Krishna, there can be no solution to the economic problem of mankind. Nothing can be solved by placing wealth in the hands of the communist or the capitalist. If $100 bill is lying on the street, someone may pick it up and put it in his pocket. Such a man is not honest. Another man may see the money and decide to let it remain there, thinking that he should not touch another property. Although this second man does not steal the money for his own purpose, he is unaware of its proper use. The third man who sees the $100 bill may pick it up and find the man who lost it and deliver it to him. This man does not steal the money to spend for himself, nor does he neglect it and let it lie in the street. By taking it and delivering it to the man who has lost it, this man is both honest and wise. Simply transferring wealth from the capitalist to communist cannot solve the problem of modern politics, for it has been demonstrated that when a communist gets money, he uses it for his own sense gratification. The wealth of the world actually belongs to Krishna, and every living entity, man and animal, has a birthright to use God property for his maintenance. When one takes more than his maintenance requires, he be a capitalist or communist, he is a thief, and as such, he is liable to be punished by the law of nature. The wealth of the world should be used for the welfare of all the living entities, for that is the plan of Mother Nature. Everyone has the right to live by utilizing the wealth of the Lord. When people learn the art of scientifically utilizing the Lord's property, they will no longer encroach upon one another's right. Then an ideal society can be formed. The basic principle for such a spiritual society is stated in the first mantra of each Upanishad. Isavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tektvena bhujanti mam grada kasya svid dhanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself which are set aside as his quota, and should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Krishna conscious devotee know very well that this material world is designed by the complete arrangement of the Lord to fulfill all the necessity of life for all the living beings, without their having to encroach upon the life or the rights of the one another. This complete arrangement affords the proper quota of wealth for everyone according to his real needs, and thus everyone may live peacefully according to the principle of plain living and high thinking. Unfortunately, materialists who have neither faith in the plan of God nor any aspiration for higher spiritual development misuse their God given intelligence only to augment their material possession. They devise many systems such as capitalism and materialistic communism to advance their material position. They are not interested in the law of God or in higher goal. Always anxious to fulfill their unlimited desire for sense gratification, they are conspicuous by their ability and exploit their fellow living beings. When human society gives up these elementary faults enumerated by Srila Rupa Goswami, Atihar, all enmity will cease between man and animal, capitalist and communist, and so forth. In addition, all problems of economic or political adjustment and stability will be solved. This pure consciousness is awakened by the proper spiritual education and practice offered scientifically by the Krishna consciousness movement. This Krishna consciousness movement offer a spiritual community that can bring about a peaceful condition in the world. Every intelligent man should purify his consciousness and rid himself of the above mentioned six hindrance to devotional service by taking wholehearted shelter of this Krishna consciousness movement.